Fletcher murder. Galloway's the one who drew that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Crime scene.
Good afternoon, everyone. We will get started in a few minutes. We just want to give everyone time to get logged on. If you have any questions throughout the program, we're going to ask that you please use the chat feature. And if you have any issues hearing us, let us know because we're using a different setup than usual. So if you have any problems hearing us, please type it in the chat box and we'll do what we can to make sure that that gets fixed. So just give us a few more minutes here and then we'll get started.
Yeah.
You started your thing yet?
Good afternoon, everyone. A few minutes ago, we did say we were going to give some time for everyone to get logged in. And we just want to make sure if everyone can hear us. If you can't, please let us know in the chat box so that we can make sure that we get that fixed so everyone can hear us well. So just give everyone a moment to make sure that we don't have any issues with audio. Seems good. So my name is Melissa Dalton, and I am the Public Outreach Coordinator for the Greene County Record Center and Archives. And with me today is Elise Kelly, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her and what she does. So as the Public Outreach Coordinator, I manage our website, our blog, and our social media accounts. I also plan, design, and present our educational programs to the Greene County schools, as well as to any of our general programming, such as today. In addition to these duties, I also assist our patrons in our county departments with any kind of reference requests, and I also manage our microfilm inventory.
Hello, everyone. My name is Elise Kelly, and as the multimedia archivist, I am responsible for the appraisal, transfer, management, preservation, and data entry of electronic public records that are transferred to the archives. In addition, I write the archives quarterly newsletter, design our online quarterly exhibits, and I assist with providing research and reference services for our county departments and the general public.
So today we are going to, as part of our Archives Month programming, we would like to provide you with some information about the Greene County Archives, the records we hold, and how you might be able to use those in your genealogy research. So that you have a better understanding about us, we do want to start with our mission statement. So the Greene County Archives, our mission of the Office of Records and Information is to advise and assist all county offices in the management, retention, disposition, storage, and preservation of their records and provide environmentally controlled storage space for records of enduring historical and evidential value. The office also commits to ensuring the availability and accessibility of those public records that are entrusted to us for the use of both the present and future generations of Greene County residents. So let's actually just start with a little bit about what does that actually mean? So we are the repository that houses all the county records, like I said, that are historical or genealogical value. And this is for all different types of departments within the county. One of our main goals is to make those records accessible to the public. So how do we do this? We do this through our website. We do it through our blog posts. We use social media outlets and our special events. As well as we have our normal operating hours where patrons can come and do research. With our website, we offer visitors a plethora of information. We have a full inventory list. We have an index of the various records. We have guidelines. You can search and view maps on our website. You can submit records requests. You can contact the staff, as well as additional resources for our educators, and we have some student resources as well. And all these allow the visitors to view and print. You can view and print all of those resources from our website. So we make those fully available to the public to use at their will. Now, as part of our blog, we put out a blog post every week. So if you follow us on social media, I'm sure you see these weekly blog posts. And we usually these always highlight records of Greene County. Now, our Facebook page, we post on Facebook daily, and we highlight particular records on our Facebook page. So on Mondays, we use our Common Pleas minutes. On Tuesdays, we look at probate records. On Wednesdays, we do a who, what, where, when, why type Wednesdays. So we take any type of record that we have and we'll put it out there so people can guess what it is. On Thursday, we highlight our commissioners' journals, or sometimes we'll do a Throwback Thursday post. And then on Friday, we highlight our field books. And we also have an Instagram and Twitter presence. So if you're interested in either of those, we have those those options for social media as well. So if you don't currently follow us and you have an account, we hope that you will do so. Now, before we really get into this program and talking about our records, we wanted to update everybody also on our COVID-19 policies and procedures, because this has greatly affected us in how we communicate and work with our visitors. So due to the current pandemic, we are operating in a limited capacity, and we have some new policies and procedures in place for any in-person visitor. So as such, we are really encouraging all of our visitors to use our online resources prior to coming into the facility. We are doing this for a few reasons. First, we want to ensure that everyone, including the patrons and the staff, are able to conduct their work and research in a safe environment. We have a small reading room, and although we are taking all the necessary precautions, we are only able to accommodate one appointment at a time. And we need time in between to do cleaning. In addition to this, any records that are utilized by patrons, they have to automatically be quarantined for at least 1 week. So if people are using them when they come in, we can't get to those records again for at least a week. So that makes it a little more difficult. So to better accommodate our researchers, we have improved our online resources, and we provide more opportunities to find these records online. So we've uploaded more records to our Flickr account, which I don't think I mentioned in that last slide. So we do have a Flickr account as well. And we've also created how-to guides on locating Greene County records on our family search. And as we go through the program today, we will let you know which records are on family search and which ones have how-to guides, as well as which records are on our Flickr page. So you'll get an indication of all of those as we go through. So let's go ahead and get started and let's tell you about our records. So one of the first records we'd like to discuss as it relates to genealogy research are tax records. So our tax records here at Greene County date from 1806 to 2007. And these can be greatly beneficial for genealogical research. They list the landowners by township or city, as well as the location of the property. So if it's a section, township, range, maybe it's a lot number or survey numbers. These tax records, especially the early ones, also indicate when a building or improvement was made to the property. So if there was a barn added in 1860, that's going to be listed on there that most likely that this was an improvement. They also will list if there's been a loss. So if there's been a fire or a structure's been removed, that is also indicated in these earlier records. Additionally, in these tax auditors' duplicates, when property is sold, in one section, there is a section for transfers. And so the new owner, so who it's being sold to, is listed as well as a date. And usually the price, so whatever they did pay for that property is also listed. So you can get a lot of information about transfer of property from these guides. Now we do have a how-to guide for this one available on for Family Search. And you can find all the way, I think, up until 2007 on Family Search. So you have the complete records are available on Family Search. And if you would like, if anyone has any questions about how to reach our how-to guides on our Facebook page, or I'm sorry, on our website, put it in the chat feature and we'll make sure everyone gets those, gets access to those. Now, the next record that we would like to discuss are Common Pleas Court records. So these records include various court cases. So it could be legal disputes, divorces, maybe financial cases, criminal cases, and there's also petitions to partition. Now, all of these can really indicate family relationships, including lineage, but one of them that people probably don't think about that often are your partitions to your partition of land. Joan, not long ago, actually wrote up a really good blog post for us on how useful these records are, especially if a family member, maybe they didn't own property, but a family member did, and they might be listed in these partitions. So it's a great way to locate people within the records in an unusual way. So for example, I'll give you one of her examples actually. So, so usually one or more family members will be the partitioner, while the other family members are the defendants. So one of the great things is that everyone is named. So the widow, the sons, the daughters, or maybe their daughters' husbands, grandchildren can also be named. If a son or daughter has predeceased them, or, died before their parent. And also, sometimes they even list the county and state where each person lived. So this can also provide you another clue as where you might need to go to look for more resources. That's something to keep in mind, especially since in the early part of the 19th century, birth and records and marriage records didn't include parents' names. So you might actually find that really useful. And so you know that we do have how-to guides on some of our clerk of court records, but not all of them. So you will have to take a look at them to see which ones are available. There's only a couple of them out there right now, but the rest of them will be forthcoming. Give me just a moment. I'm going to mute everyone coming in. Just give me one moment here. Okay. All right. I think we got everybody muted now. All right, so the next record we'd like to discuss are emancipation records. So emancipation, you'll actually hear these records called, and the terms are a lot of times used interchangeably. So we also call them manumission records. You maybe sometimes hear them called freedom papers. There are some slight differences in the records, but ultimately they record the status of African Americans, their freedom status. So Ohio law required that all free African Americans register with the courts before formally settling in Ohio. And that was part of the Ohio Constitution in 1804. So before you could actually settle, you had to register with the courts, with the local court. And so these were the records that were done here in Greene County. And these records actually are kind of like an affidavit of their freedom status. And they would carry these records with them to prove their freedom status. And within these records, these dated from about 1805 to 1845, the freedom papers. And in the manumission records. And these records could be really descriptive. They would include physical description of the freed person, the date and place of birth, if they knew, and any kind of personal comments from the former slaveholder. These records have to be carried, like I said, at all times as evidence of their freedom status. Now, the emancipation deed records, those are the records that were recorded when a slave owner would free or emancipate their slave here in Greene County. So many times, these types of records can be found in a variety of records, but we find them here in our deed records mostly. So again, you get some of the same information in those, but that's where you're going to actually see the freedom status come through. So you'll see here, we've got two different types of records listed. So the record of certificate of freedom, so those are going to be those freedom status when they get here, they're already free. And this is going to note that they already have their freedom status. So those are from 1805 to 1845. And the emancipation deed records from 1855 to 1861, those are people who were freed here in Greene County. Now, all of these records are available on our Flickr page. And we also, on our website, we have transcription of these records, as well as an index to these records. So if you are interested in doing this type of research, you might want to start at our website to get a better feel for what you might find in those records.
I just wanted to add something real quick. These records also indicate the children of these freed slaves and how these children were freed. And that's important too, that you'll know that these people's children's names and what they look like. So that was just
yes, thank you for including that.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk on the next slide about naturalizations. Many people think that immigrants were mostly naturalized in places such as, New York through Ellis Island or Massachusetts or Virginia. But however, you would be surprised to learn that many people were naturalized right here in Greene County. These records are typically found in common pleas, minutes/journals. So this is a court record. The early records typically only demonstrate name, country of origin, date of arrival, county of residence at the time, and which would be most likely Greene County, and a date of citizenship. So if you were to go through these records, you'll notice that they had to reside in the United States for a certain amount of time before they could be naturalized, as today. So they could have arrived in New York and traveled on and then settled here in Greene County. And then they had to wait a certain amount of time before they could be naturalized. It is important to know that these are available on Family Search, and a how-to guide on finding these records on Family Search is available on our website. In addition, Family Search has our later naturalization books, which include declarations of intention. These are a lot more detailed, and they include mother and father's names, what the person who is requesting naturalization or their declaration of intention, what their occupation was, their spouse's name, their children's name, their birth dates, and then they're renouncing their allegiance, let's say, to the Queen of England. It's just kind of interesting to see that later in these books. And these records are also on Family Search, these naturalization books, and there is a how to find guide on our website available. Okay, so I don't know if you guys would ever think of engineer maps as something that would be helpful, but this is actually another great resource. It can name the property owners, so you can kind of see if it was, let's say, your relative, you kind of want to know in what area of Greene County were they residing. And then you can see a sketch of the land parcels. So you can just see how large maybe this property was or how small, what perhaps was on this property by this, what would it indicate through this land sketch. You would also see the names of neighbors. And, that might just show a connection. Let's say that you have a relative, a relative that was married to someone else. You could see, oh, maybe they were neighbors. So you can see that maybe connection just by their last name. You will see names of streets, railroads, rivers. You'll understand perhaps why they settled in that area, because perhaps there's the railroad line there. And then you might be able to see how streets had changed over time. Also will indicate notations of buildings on property. So as I said, you might see that there is a barn, other various things that would be on this property, and it would give you a fuller picture of the history of, let's say, your ancestry. So these are available on Flickr and our website. So you can go to Flickr to view these maps and our website to kind of go through and see all the different maps that go back to the 19th century up to well into the mid, I would say, 20th century. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so another thing kind of in the same realm of engineer records are survey records. So these are actually very interesting because we have survey records from our county engineers back in the mid to late 19th century. His name was Washington Galloway. He was a surveyor from 1840 to the 1880s. And we have his field books, which provide not only the legal description for many of these properties, but a sketch of the property. And you can see here, if you can look on our PowerPoint, kind of his neat sketches of this land. You'll see the Little Miami River. It looks like a mill, J.H. Jacoby Mill. So it's just kind of a different kind of record that is a little more, I guess, personal. Since he wrote this out, it served as a field book. But just like the engineer maps, they're going to have names of neighbors and may mention previous landowners, but it's also going to describe the land. So you'll know, it will say a tree was located here. Let's say a sycamore tree was located at the corner of this side and this side. It's probably not there anymore, but it's just kind of an interesting little story to kind of add to what it might have looked like back then. So that is just another really cool record. And going through these field books, Washington Galloway actually sketched a crime scene where a man by the name of William Fletcher was murdered, and he sketches out this entire crime scene, and it's very interesting to see. It's very detailed, and you can see where let's say, I think it was the tracks of where the murderer had left after killing William Fletcher, and you just can, it's very interesting. So that is just another feature to those records, and they are available on Flickr, so you can view those also. Okay, so birth and death records, those are probably very, you are all probably very much interested in finding these. Unfortunately, Ohio didn't begin recording births and deaths until 1869. So it's not until then that we're able to really see who died and who gave birth or who was born. Not until 1869 do we have those records. So unfortunately, they just went unrecorded before then. Some of these can provide names of parents as they get, as they are, especially for the births and the deaths, they can provide names of parents, but sometimes it can be spotty. And you can find a location of the birth and the death and the cause of death, that's another thing that's interesting. And you probably might have to look up what does this mean? What kind of death does this mean? Or, the medical language. It may be something that it's very obscure, not heard of before. It will also provide the age at the time of death. And I guess it would be important for all of you to know that we only have the birth and death records up to 1909. So you will want to, if you are interested in researching past 1909 for birth and death records, you'll want to contact the Greene County Public Health Vital Statistics Office for later records. But these are also available on Family Search, and we have a how-to guide on how to find them on Family Search. That will be coming soon. We don't have a guide yet, but that will be coming soon in the next year.
Just also something else to note is that we do have our birth and deaths indexed. They're not electronic, but if you are, it's just something good to know that we do have those actually indexed and make it a little bit easier if you're just trying to find a particular name. That will at least let you know before you come in. So just something to keep in mind.
Okay, we have marriage records. So Ohio became a state in 1803, and Greene County was one of the earliest counties that was established in Ohio. So we have marriage records actually going back from 1803 all the way up to October of 2012. Now, it is important to note that early marriage records do not include the names of parents. It's not until 1899 till they include the names of the parents. So that can be a bit frustrating, especially if you're trying to find an ancestor, especially earlier. But it's important to note that. And the early records do include the name of the bride and the groom, the date of the marriage, and the name of the minister or the justice of the peace who conducted the ceremony. So the marriage record usually is found in the county where the bride resided. So this is also an important to kind of think about when you're doing research. You have to understand that they had to get the marriage record where the bride resided, what county the bride resided in at the time, and that's where they would have gotten the marriage record. So even if they got married, let's say in Dayton, if the bride resided in Greene County, they would have had to get the marriage record in Greene County. So these are on Family Search, and a how-to guide on finding these records on Family Search is also available on our website. Okay, so now we have some wills and estates. These are also very helpful if you've ever, I'm sure you've thought of maybe estates or wills, but these provide names and relationships of family members. So you'll find out if this person was a sister, a brother, a cousin, a nephew. That will be included most likely in the wills or estates. You'll get more of an insight into the property ownership. So you'll kind of understand who owned the property at the time, who it was bequeathed to later. And so that will kind of give you a little bit more of an understanding. It may even give you, interestingly, an insight into some family disputes, especially in these estates if they're contested, or these wills that are actually contested. So that just kind of gives you a more of a story to, instead of if it's very kind of dry legalistic language, it may include a lot more things that those juicy items that you may be looking for that can provide some insight into your family history. It just kind of takes time to just kind of find it. So these are available also on Family Search, and how to find guides are available on our website. So might want to make a note of that too. Yeah, I think the wills and estates are only up till about 1930 to somewhere in the 1930s.
Yeah, they don't go very late. I mean, considering they don't go nearly as late as some of the other records do on Family Search. I think they only went up to about the 1930s sometimes. So if you need anything after 1930, they would be here at our facility, and we have up until I think 2017. Actually, we might even have some 2018s now, but those are here at our facility.
Okay, so just some other records that you might want to think about. Commissioner minutes. So the Greene County, when it was and became a county, there were commissioners, as we have today, and they kept minutes. And we have the minutes from volumes 1 through 3. So the very, very early minutes are available on our Flickr page. And this will kind of give you an idea about how this county really began, how they kind of set up the government, how they paid for a courthouse, and how they repaired the courthouse. You'll understand these small little details that go into how the county progressed. And they mention a plethora of names. So especially in these early records, you see that some of these people are bringing in wolf scalps. So, and it's very interesting to see that they were kind of wanting that because of they wanted to get the wolf population down. So you might see your ancestor's name listed in these very early records. If you're having a hard time, let's say, connecting someone or finding someone, you may even think outside the box and see if they're listed in the commissioner minutes. They're listed as say doing various services and being paid for various services, or especially with surveying new roads. So deeds are available on Family Search. Deeds are very helpful also. They kind of give a legal description of the land and who owns this property, and then who may have owned it beforehand. So this is also helpful, and these are on Family Search, and the how to find guides are available on our website. We also have guardianship records. So I don't know if I had to learn this, that guardianships, it doesn't have to be someone who may be needing help and might be incompetent with let's say their finances. This person would just be someone who would take care of being that guardian for let's say a child who had lost their parents. They need a guardian just to let's say have the finances taken care of until they turned a certain age. So those are helpful also. They indicate family names and relationships, so that will be helpful. And then you can give you an idea even of how they are paying for things. I mean, what are they paying for? We have a lot of receipts with voucher receipts with these guardianship records, and they're really fascinating to see, especially if this is a person who is let's say a teenager or something, and they need certain materials, school materials or something. You'll just see in these vouchers what they were buying for this person. So that is helpful. We also have infirmary county home record of inmates. So I just want you to understand that when Greene County had an infirmary, and the adults, the indigent adults and children stayed at the infirmary. And it wasn't until after the new infirmary was built in 1880, the adults stayed there, whereas the children stayed in the old infirmary. And these indigenous children were often sent out to work on farms, and they have records of these children, and perhaps, if they were going out to the farm, how much they made. So that's very interesting to see, especially for a lot of these people. They wouldn't have a record, especially being indigenous. So it's important that they were recorded, and that they actually have something to show that they were there. This is on Family Search, and how to find guides for the infirmary and children's home indenture records are coming in the next year. So just to let you all know that.
And it's also, I just want to say with these records, depending on, it also might tell you, especially with the indenture records, what family they went to, who they were indentured to. So that might provide you another key to finding a family member if they were an indentured servant, an indentured servant, indentured child, because it's a potential that maybe they were listed under that family last name instead of their given name. So just something to keep in mind too.
Yeah, good point. And then there's the infirmary and county home record of inmates. So these would be for adults, and you'll be able to see perhaps why they're in there. It may list, why they're in there, how long they're in there. And if they were coming, you'll notice that if they were coming in and then they left and then they perhaps came back. And they may have, at least for the early records, the family, if it was a mother and her children. And so you may find that also in these infirmary records. These are on Family Search, and a how-to guide will be coming next year on how to find these. Mortgage records, it's important to note that these are not on Family Search. So you would have to come to the archives in order to view those, but we surely can accommodate you if you have maybe a sort of a date range, or know kind of perhaps where this when this was. So we could always accommodate you and perhaps look it up and then send it to you via email. And one last thing, road records are on Flickr. So road records, you'll see that those can be helpful, just like these survey records. You can see what roads were established at a certain time, when did they change, when did the direction change, or if something was taken away because of perhaps a levee or a bridge. So that's important too, and you can probably see neighbors and property owners around that area. So those are on Flickr, and I'm going to hand it over back to Melissa.
All right. So that kind of gives you a quick breakdown of some of the records that are most useful to our genealogy researchers. Obviously, that is not a complete or exhaustive list of our records. So if you have any type of record that that we have that you want to examine or get a better feel for, whatever, if you have any questions about any other records, please feel free to reach out to us. Like I said, we do have a full inventory list on our website, which you'll see that is on this last page here. I also included our website for our blog, which we do weekly. We also have our handles for all of our social media. So you see our Facebook, our Twitter, Instagram, and Flickr. So if you're interested in checking out anything we do on social media, you can do that by looking there. You'll also see that we've included our email addresses and phone numbers. So if you have specific questions, you are more than welcome to email us. And I also included our hours of operation, because that's when we'll be answering the phones. But like I said earlier, that if you were looking to come in to do research, you do need to schedule an appointment. And there's a lot that we can help you with virtually and online. So we do recommend checking that out first before setting up an appointment, because we may be able to help you in that way. So now, oh, sorry, didn't mean to actually do that yet, but that's all right. Does anyone have any questions If you do, you can use the chat feature here, or you can, use the chat feature. That's probably easiest. I'll give everybody a few minutes because I know it takes a little bit of time to type it in there. I'm going to leave that up for you in case anyone wants to take down any of that information. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank
Yes,
you.
Thank you.
Oh, terminology. Oh, that's such a good, of course, Kathy.
Hi.
Hi, Kathy. Which one are you talking about? Oh, yeah, there is the one called the Black's Dictionary. I have Black's Law Dictionary. It can be helpful to figure out, especially some of the legal jargon that you might be looking to get a better feel for or get a better idea. That's one I can think of in particular. I mean, if you're looking for medical terminology, if you're looking at birth or like death records or anything, honestly, I a lot of times just do a Google search.
Yes.
Google can be so helpful in some of that in regard to that sometimes. But there's the Black's Law Dictionary. And I think we have the 5th edition here at the archives. Deep diving. We don't actually do that very often. It's not something that we're opposed to. If you have a particular record that you're trying to get a better feel for, we would be willing to help you navigate those records. If there is something in particular that you do have a question about. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the overview.
Yes.
Any other questions? We did record this, so we're going to put it up on our YouTube channel, which I realize I didn't put that out here, but you can find a link to our YouTube channel on our website. So if you missed something or you want to go back and get listen to something again to get a better feel for what we were talking about, or if you want to share it with your friends and family, we'll have it out on our YouTube channel probably by the end of this week. So probably sometime tomorrow or maybe even Monday, but I'll likely get it up tomorrow. Any other last questions? Well, if not, we thank you for your time. And if you do think of any questions, feel free to email us and we will do our best to help you with any of your questions.
Yes, thank you everyone for attending and having great questions.
Yes. So like I said, we'll have this out for everybody to see on our YouTube channel. So feel free to share that link. Thank you.
Thank you.